Iran and the US are racing to find the missing crew member of a downed American fighter jet. Tehran says it shot down the F-15 over the southwest of the country and that soldiers are searching the area. US officials have told the BBC's partner network, CBS News, that the other person in the aircraft has been rescued. Iran's state media reports that the country's air defence system shot down a second US aircraft, which crashed in the Gulf. Let's get the latest now from our correspondent in Washington, Tom Bateman.
US search helicopters prowl the skies over southern Iran, now in a deadly race to find America's missing airmen. Iranian state TV showing pictures of what it says is the wreckage of the downed US fighter plane. The Iranians claim it was shot down by an air defense system as it flew over a rugged province in southwestern Iran. Pictures on social media purport to show one of the two ejector seats. These images are as yet unverified, but appear to be consistent with parts of an F-15 fighter jet. US officials say they launched a combat rescue mission under fire, finding one of the F-15 crew, its pilot. But the recovery helicopter was hit by gunfire, injuring crew members. These pictures appear to show men in a field opening fire on American Pavehawk helicopters used in search operations. Another plane involved was also hit, an A-10 Warthog like this. Its pilot ejected over the Gulf and was rescued. Meanwhile, Iranian government messages have been broadcast calling on residents to join a hunt for the pilots, offering a bounty for their capture. This is the F-15E Strike Eagle, one of America's most advanced fighter planes. It's used for bombing raids and to shoot down drones. Behind the pilot is a weapons systems officer. Shown here at RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk, Iran's military claims the downed plane was from the Lakenheath squadron, but the BBC has not confirmed this. This former F-15 pilot says the missing crew member will have been equipped for survival. Once they're on the ground there, what's going to be going through their minds?
First thing is, how do I get myself away from where it is that I am, and then how do I make contact with friendly forces to get myself back into friendly hands?
The White House says President Trump has been briefed. He said nothing publicly about the rescue operation, posting only on social media about Iran. Keep the oil, anyone? US Central Command released pictures of what it called its undeniable progress, saying Iran's air defense systems had been largely destroyed. But its claims to have free reign over Iran's skies will ring hollow, with the first known loss of a manned US aircraft there since the start of the war, and a perilous search behind Iranian lines. The fate of the missing crew member could determine the direction of this conflict, already unpopular with Americans, overseen by a leader looking for ways to end it. Tom Bateman, BBC News, Washington.
While President Trump refused to discuss details of the search and rescue operation, but said the day's events would not affect any negotiations with Iran. Our correspondent Simi Jola-Osho in Washington has sent us this report.
We are told President Trump's national security team spent Thursday in the West Wing of the White House providing him with updates on the initial search and rescue operation. Now, President Trump wouldn't comment to the media specifically on the operation, but when asked whether this would affect negotiations with Iran, he said he didn't expect it to. When asked what his response would be if this crew member was found harmed, he simply said he hoped that wouldn't be the case. Now, this all comes after President Trump claimed that Iran's air defenses were weakened and said that Iran couldn't do a thing about US aircraft operating in its territory. Now we're hearing that Iran's Revolutionary Guard have sealed off a huge area and is conducting a search using troops and locals to try and find this missing crew member. This has become a high-stakes search on the ground between the two adversaries for this missing American service member.
Simi Jola-Osho in Washington for us. Let's bring you some of the day's other main developments in the Middle East now. And Iranian missiles hit residential areas in parts of central Israel in the early hours of Saturday. Israel's military says it's conducting strikes on Lebanon's capital, Beirut. The IDF says the strikes are targeting Hezbollah infrastructure sites. Elsewhere, heavy explosions have been reported in the Iranian capital, Tehran. Fighter jets have also been heard in the sky. And Bahrain urged residents to seek shelter, with sirens sounding right across the country as Iran continues attacking Gulf states. As the US-Israel conflict with Iran intensifies, unrest is spreading across the region. President Trump is warning Iran of greater destruction unless it does what it knows it has to do. Now, legal experts have issued an open letter raising concerns about possible violations by all sides. Our correspondent Lorna Gordon is in Dubai and explains what the letter said. And just apologies, it's Joel Gunter for us in Jerusalem about to report.
This is now the very big issue in the region, that this F-15 fighter jet was downed over Iran. It was less than a week ago that the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was boasting that the US had achieved such air superiority over Iran and degraded Iran's air defenses so badly that they could fly heavy, slow-moving bombers like the B-52 without concern. Now, just a few days later, we have this jet being downed. We have one member of the crew who's been rescued, but one still unaccounted for. And as you heard there from our colleagues in DC, the IRGC, the Iranian forces, have sealed off a large area and are searching for the pilot. The stakes are now very high. President Trump has said he believes it won't affect negotiations. He refused to comment on how the US might respond to the pilot being captured. But this is already a very unpopular conflict in some ways. There is no clear sense of a way out. As you mentioned, in the region, there are still very heavy strikes going on almost in all directions. We've had some in Israel this morning, which wounded a man in the center of the country. So if this pilot, if this member of the aircrew is captured, it does significantly, potentially raise the stakes for the US.
And Joel, as you've been talking there, this sense of how the mood is changing right across the region, do you think what's happened in the last 24 hours may change the way the US and Israel go forward in terms of trying to end this war as quickly as possible?
Well, it's been clear for a little while. There have been signs that President Trump is keen for a quick exit. You know, he said this past week that he thought the US would withdraw from this conflict within 2 to 3 weeks. Israeli defense officials here have said that they believe that their military objectives against Iran are almost complete. But in the same sentence, almost, President Trump will say his plan is to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages. There have been continued strikes now moving on to critical infrastructure, including civilian infrastructure. Those strikes are ongoing. We had the Passover holiday in the past few days in Israel, normally a time of joy and celebration, but continued volleys of Iranian ballistic missiles coming through into Israel, wounding more than a dozen people, some critically. So I can't say there's really a sense here in the region that there is a definitive or reasonable plan for the end of this conflict. Here in Israel, here in other parts of the region, Iran, certainly in southern Lebanon and in the Gulf, it feels very much alive.
So that was Joel Gunter reporting for us from Jerusalem in reaction to the downed fighter jet from there.